Welcome back to Reddit from Reddit. Today we're taking a look at the AskReddit. What's acceptable to have to explain to a child, but unacceptable to have to explain to an adult. Look both ways before you cross the street. If they hit and kill me, I don't have to pay my student loans. That's survival of the fittest when they turn 11. Don't pee on the toilet seat. If you accidentally pee on the toilet seat, wipe it up with clean toilet paper so the next person doesn't sit on it. Also, don't stand on the toilet seat at a North American toilet. I worked in a building with international students. The toilet seats always had shoe marks. This was a women's bathroom. How it isn't okay to throw a tantrum when you don't get what you want. My favorite reaction to this situation? What were you hoping to achieve with that display? My father recently has this problem. He doesn't know it. He throws a calm tantrum at people when he doesn't get his way. It's everything someone would say in a tantrum, but said in a casual manner, but still not letting the other person speak back to him. I had to explain to him that he was being rude when he was told there was currently no parking where we were staying last week by the receptionist. Both him and my mother disagreed, and they felt entitled to something above everyone else. My dad legit had a tantrum because his launch Xbox 360 stopped working last week. When you want somebody to move, we say, "Excuse me," not "move it." My supervisor didn't take it well when I wasn't going to take his rudeness. Different story when you're all friends, though. My team at my old job just always said, "Shove, love," when you were in their way. Please and thank you. Pardon me, may I get past you? Not everything on TV is real. Some people on the internet lie to you. My grandfather once rage quit an episode of Bonanza because he didn't understand how an actor who had been killed on the previous week's Gunsmoke was alive in a guest role, playing a completely different character. When The Martian came out in theaters, my family and I went to see it. After the movie ended, we were talking outside the theater, and I heard someone say, "I wonder if he had to use his poop as fertilizer in real life." Something along those lines. To use their inside voice when they're speaking too loudly. Sometimes it's time to use no voice. Oh boy, I know. Sometimes I have to tell my parents to use their indoor devices, even more my father. They're retired teachers, and sometimes they talk with me 3 feet away from them, as if we were in a classroom 30 feet away from each other. My parents constantly tell me to quiet down when we're in public together. That is, when they're not asking me to repeat myself. So I have to be loud enough for you to hear me, but also quiet enough to pass your indoor voice test. If I owned a phone, I'd communicate with you entirely through text messages. Where babies come from. No crap, I had to explain this to a 19-year-old who got his girlfriend pregnant. He seriously thought that because they were both virgins, that she couldn't get pregnant. She did. When I was in the 8th grade, my friend was complaining about tampons and how she would never put anything up there. So I asked her how she was ever going to have sex, and you could see the light bulb come on. A couple years later, she got knocked up, and I always felt guilty about it. Edit, we were both in a private Christian school with absolutely nothing resembling sex ed. Glad her parents took their job seriously. I had a dumb friend who legitimately thought 2 nuts canceled each other out. How to clean after using the toilet. Edit, clean yourself, not the toilet. Edit 2, both. I'd like to add basic hygiene to this. Wash yourself and your clothes. Even though you bumped into that person and knocked their items out of their hands by accident, you still need to apologize. Just the general concept of things you do on accident are still your responsibility. Teaching the concept of personal space. Too many adults do not understand it. A man was standing so close to me in the supermarket queue that I had to ask him repeatedly to take a step back. Every time the queue moved forward, he would be jammed up against me. In his incoherent response, he seemed very concerned that I wasn't jammed up against the next guy in the queue too, as if that was just an open invitation for random people to jump into the gaps ahead of us. This is especially frustrating to me. I'm a dancer, and during practices, the teacher will leave us to go over the choreography on our own. My team has 10 people on it. We practice in a 20 by 45 room. Yet somehow, this one girl has to practice right up my butt, like a foot away from me, no matter where I move to, even though there is tons of space. I have, on multiple occasions, been witness to my wife screaming, "Get off my to complete strangers for this very thing. She does not have by the way. That you shouldn't kiss, hug, touch, sniff complete strangers. But did you know if you put your ear up against a stranger's leg, you can distinctly hear, "What the frick are you doing?" Way back a long time ago, I was really drunk at a bar the day before Thanksgiving. I was bald at the time. Still am now, but was then too. I saw that my brother was trying in vain to hit on a girl that clearly wasn't interested, with her friend looking on amused. I went up to the girl who he wasn't trying to hit on, softly grabbed her hair, and said, "I really like your hair. It's super soft, and I miss mine." We ended up casually dating for a few months. I would not recommend anyone try that, though. At this point, Joe Biden's too old to learn. After living with a 32-year-old who behaves like a 12-year-old for a year, don't shoot that slingshot in the house. Don't take other people's things without permission. Don't go through other people's things without permission. Don't trespass on private property. Don't eat candy for every meal. Don't follow a bear around in the woods. Don't chase the livestock. Don't torment the pets. And the list goes on. Being an adult means you know you shouldn't shoot the slingshot in the house, but choose to accept the consequences of shooting the slingshot in the house. How to eat with your mouth closed. I recently, privately, asked my mom how my sister managed to grow into adulthood chewing with her mouth hanging open. She said she gave up in her teen years when nothing she did was making a difference. I find it appalling when people chew with their mouths open, especially adults. The importance of keeping your hands to yourself. Women have a urethra and a vagina. Pee and menstrual blood don't come out of the same hole. As a female, 17, I didn't learn this until I was 15. Insane how it's not taught as often as it should be. How to do basic functions. Wiping your butt, using a knife and fork, tying laces, etc. How do you wipe your butt using a knife and fork? Edit. Yes, the 3 seashells. Got it. Also love that people are saying very carefully. This is my go-to comment when anyone asks me how to do anything. When they have to repeat the 3rd grade. Thanks a lot. Next semester I'll be 35. Why cruelty is wrong. That the earth is, indeed, not flat. The earth isn't flat, nor is round. Come on, people, don't you get it? It's obviously earth-shaped. Wishing something is true does not make it true. That there's a difference between being assertive and being a butthole. If there's a way to make your point without being cruelly blunt, but you choose not to censor yourself, then you're not being brutally honest, you're just being brutal. Basic hygiene. Cleanliness in general, like wiping the seat off in a public bathroom if you pee all over it. Grown adults should know that's not someone else's problem. To be fair, I was never really taught or made to brush my teeth, so it never became a habit, and 3 teeth are gone because of it. Had I been made to do it when I was younger, I'd have dentures that are worth more than poop. The amount of people that can relate to this in some way is astonishing. I'm a private tutor. I've had to argue with too many parents who disagreed with me over simple concepts like how to add fractions, but I'm billing them $80+ an hour, so I'm fine with spending a bit of time explaining basic ideas. Yes, I charge $80 to $200 an hour. I only advertise my services in rich neighborhoods. Also, it's not like poor people are at a disadvantage because they can't afford my help. I'm actually quite useless. Math teacher here. I had to have my assistant transferred because she kept trying to correct me. During lessons, she kept a calculator and would test my math in the back of the room. I was spending more time telling her how she got it wrong versus teaching the kids. Hey, you know this better than me. Please help my child. I will pay you. You proceed to teach them. Hey, that's wrong. That's not how I do it. I should know. I'm paying you to teach because I can't. I've tutored before, mostly chemistry and a little Calc 1, and it's infuriating to have either the person you're helping or the person who's paying you to try to critique you. One time in college, I was in the math club's tutoring room getting help on a particularly difficult P-Chem problem, and a sociology major came in for help on her stats homework. One of the first things she said was, I don't even understand why I need to take math. I'll never use it. Kind of think that understanding basic statistics is important for a huge number of reasons, but okay. The tutor proceeded to explain how to solve the problem. This is paraphrased, the real conversation was much longer. The girl stopped her and said, We don't need to know that. You need this to solve the problem. We don't need to know that. Who's your professor? Mr. So-and-so. Okay, there's another method to solve it, but it's much longer and more difficult to learn, and to the best of my knowledge, he teaches this method. We don't have to know that. At that point, the tutor put her face in her hands and literally screamed. Math teacher here who works with adults. If more people got those basic concepts down before graduating high school, fewer kids would struggle because there are so many parents who don't know the necessary math to help their elementary school children with homework. That they should take responsibility for their mistakes. That nobody else made them do the bad thing they did. Or that your own personal beliefs and way of life are not objective, and that there is an entire world outside of the small corner of the world you live in. A lot of closed-minded adults end up being the entitled ones because they think they're always right. Why we cover our mouth and nose when we cough or sneeze. How to cover our mouth and nose when sneezing and coughing. Do it into your elbow crease, not your hands, people. I had to explain to a high school classmate what periods were. He thought that girls just started bleeding from all 3 holes down there. We need better sex ed. Edit, the 3 holes refers to the vagina, urethra, and anus. The urethra and vagina are separate. I'm more surprised he knew females had 3 holes while not knowing about periods. You would be surprised how many guys, and that's not just boys, think vagina has a single opening for all uses. To be fair though, when I had sex ed, the boys and girls split up for that part. They talked about periods and we talked about testicular cancer and self-exams. If you're bleeding from either of the other two, it's time to see a doctor. Sweets and other treats are okay in moderation, and it is important to get some sort of exercise, even if light walking. Why they shouldn't masturbate in public. How to talk to my father-in-law about not watching porn in public areas of the house. Wait, that's an issue for both parties? This is something really specific, but my brother had to explain to his friends that reptiles and reptilian were referring to the same thing. They thought that reptilian was someone you would name your kid. This was one day before they graduated high school. Respect for their fellow humans. That showering is a societal requirement. Why it's not okay to remove your pants to pee at a urinal. Unlimited breadsticks are not really unlimited, and that you eventually have to order something. To someone who flipped a table while shouting, "I shall no longer patronize the Garden of Olives." No way, you serve Thor? A local morning radio show host I used to listen to absolutely dragged one of his co-hosts for this. She went to Olive Garden, ordered food, but filled up on salad and breadsticks, so she just left. Didn't pay anything, didn't get her actual order, just up and left. This girl was so dense. 3 people spent 20 minutes trying to explain how she was wrong, and she just didn't get it. And that's the end of this AskReddit. What's acceptable to have to explain to a child, but unacceptable to have to explain to an adult? Let us know what you think is an unacceptable thing to have to explain to an adult that you would normally explain to a child down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button, get subscribed to Reddit from Reddit, and share this video with your friends. And we will see you in the next one.